Reach Abundant Risings family. It's Wednesday, January the 14th, 7:36 a.m. And it's a new day. It's a new rising, unfolding. Don't really have nothing planned, but I just wanted to check in with y'all. Currently, I have this book that I started that I never resumed. So I make art, contemporary artist stories about life and work. And honestly, bro, I started reading this at the library. Stopped on page 27. But this was really like opening me up. So I was just like, why not read with y'all? So let's read a bit. And then I'm a journal with y'all. Give y'all a little bit of what's on my mind. Turn this light on, change the lighting. Turn this one on. Turn this one on. There we go. Y'all can see me a little bit better. Got my phone charging so that way I don't have no distractions. Hope y'all doing really, really good though. All is well here. This is day 4 of my journey. I'm trying to figure out why does my thing shut off. I don't know if I have a limit on my screen or what, or how to turn that off. But y'all also have the soulmate project that I want to reason with y'all, that I just never. I stopped at chapter 3, page 25 on this book. It's really getting good. But let's read a bit of this. Okay. And it's not going to be perfect. My reading isn't perfect. So be patient with me. They Ball in court first studied ceramics at the California College of Arts, then the California College of the Arts and Crafts in Oakland, moving to New York in 2000, where he studied for an MFA at Hunter College. He was picked up by New York's Zach Fuhr Gallery at an open studio while still in graduate school. But despite this early break, when he first arrived, the Manhattan art would have seemed an impenetrable fortress. You first get here and it's really intimidating. You're seeing 25-year-olds getting solo shows, and I was already 28. I was like, oh shit, maybe my time's passed. Getting his first real job as an art handler provided an entry point for him past the gates. All of a sudden, you're working as an art handler, and you're behind the scenes in the gallery in the back, and then you're going to Jasper John's house, installing his Brillo boxes, and then you're going to Philip Johnson's house, he recalls. He describes his time art handling as day school, which was of an equal education as his graduate studies, which he calls night school. Being at the 42nd Street Hunter Grad Studios, it was this wild island anarchy. It was this big building and pretty unregulated, and we could pretty much do whatever we wanted there. Some of the anarch spirit was doubtless channeled into eventual performance hub cum arts space de Ballancourt set up in 2007 in Bushwick, a building that now houses his studio and apartment, but for 3 years was the home to Star Space, a place for concerts and yoga, fundraisers, and church parties. That was really fun. That was a really fun moment in my life, he recalls. Eventually, I was like, I can't run this speakeasy yoga studio. movie theater, dance place. It was nuts trying to juggle this thing. But I had great people helping me organize and curate stuff there. That was when there was no yoga studio yet in Bushwick. There was no place to see live music, and so I decided, okay, I'll do this. It was kind of naive, but I could have gotten a lot of trouble. I could have gotten a lot of trouble for doing it, not really with any permits or anything. The Ballancourt still lives and works in Brooklyn, as well as Malpais, Costa Rica, starting in the summer of 2020. Shortly before getting signed to Pace Gallery, he started to lean away from figurative abstraction and more toward abstraction full stuff. I'm thinking more about painting and painting versus painting a picture. Painting a painting versus painting a picture, he says. I wanted to somehow become more about paint, but I still need some kind of baseline story or some idea. Still having it rooted in some kind of figurative narrative. I can't just be smudging around colors and shapes. I still need something to ground it conceptually. And so this is They Came to Get Lost 2021 oil on panel. This is the art piece. It's really nice. Though he has limited interest in digital platforms and social media, Dave Ballancourt likens his own process to using Photoshop. I'm actually doing my filter on the painting as far as layers. I'll do one wash and then I'll do another wash on top of it, and then it changes the base color. So I kind of figured it out. I'm sort of collaging and cutting and pasting. His methods are fluid and immersive. I'm usually starting multiple paintings at once. I start 10 paintings and more paintings. And then the problem is, all of a sudden I have 30 paintings and none of them are finished. It's hard going. The last 10 or 15% in my painting, I can get it to like 80%, and then I'm like, okay, I'm bored now. That's kind of how I was when I was like painting, just to occupy myself. And then I'm bored now. I'm going to go to something else. But Dave Ballancourt has come to accept that this is the way he works. After a while, you just surrender to become who you are, he says. Life is hard enough as it is. Whatever it is happening out there in the biggest sphere. And yes, art can be a struggle, and it's okay for it to be a struggle. But you don't have to make it a battle every day either. Let's soften the road here a little bit. He also says that he gives little thought to his own legacy. I did a talk at a school and someone asked me in the Q&A, well, what do you think about your legacy? I said, legacy? I don't even know if there's going to be a word 60 years from now. Why am I worried about my legacy? He says, as I get older, I just accept, well, hey, you want to do another painting of a scene in nature and that's what you're compelled to do? Well, fuck it, do it. Dove Bradshaw. So basically this book is like these sequences of artists and in their stories. So this is the next piece, which is really cool. I'm in the late 1960s. Chance-led artist Dove Bradshaw was gifted a pair of ring-neck mourning doves, which she proceeded to let fly around her top floor studio in Boston. That's lit. Oh my gosh. I just got the whole visual, like Boston, studio apartment, top floor, your doves just, man, that's lit. Okay. One day I found this abandoned bicycle wheel, Bradshaw says. I picked it up, strung a steel cable through it, and hung it to the ceiling. The birds flew on it and it would spin. The doves made their home in the wheel, eventually hatching a chick. Before flying away, Bradshaw documented her winged namesake's time in her apartment with a series of photos. and by making silver and bronze casts of the chick shells. 20 years later, the artist restaged variations of the episode with pigeons as an installation at the Sandra Gearing Gallery at the MoMA Pt.1 in New York, entitled Plain Air. The piece has come to be one of her best-known works. While chance plays a part in much of her practice, Bradshaw is also known for her trailblazing work with indeterminacy. I think that's how you pronounce it. Though it's taken some institution time to catch up with her. The Metropolitan Museum of Art vacillated for years whether to accept the legitimacy of her 1970 Grulla Act fire extinguisher, in which she attached a label next to the firehouse cabinet in the northwest corner of the museum, then claimed it as a work of art. Later, she made postcards of the firehouse and placed them on a track in a museum store. Ooh. Ray Johnson and Sol Lewitt each bought one. Bradshaw referenced the Marcel Duchamp's famous ready-mades in relation to the piece. The difference between Duchamp's found object and mine was that mine was claimed object. It was already in a museum. In 2007, 45 years after first planting her flag at the Met, the work, now entitled Performance, finally entered the museum's collection. She says that if there should be a fire, she would claim that as her performance, adding, "I'm not going to start one." Duchamp's influence will never die because he gave artists permission. She continues, artists may not know all about his work or all the complexity of it, but one thing that we do know is we have permission. Bradshaw knew early on what she wanted to do when she grew up. I thought I wanted to be an artist since the age of 5. She says, born Catherine Loveday Bradshaw in New York City in 1949, she earned her avian sobriquet owing to a pronunciation by her old brother who called her Dub D and then Dub. Her father did drawing himself and encouraged his daughter's interest in art and architecture. Her mother, who took up painting when she was 98, worked for the American Craft Council and traveled with avant-gardist Beatrice Wood, aka the Mama of Dada. Bradshaw became friendly with Wood and with Alexina Teeny Duchamp, Marcel's second wife and the daughter-in-law of Henry Matisse. I don't know how to pronounce all these names. Teeny Duchamp was like a grandmother, says Bradshaw, recalling several visits she and her husband, minimalist artist William Anatasi. I wish I knew how to pronounce the stuff. It sounds like European names, like these are European names. Visits, and she and her husband, minimalist artist William, and made the American-born art world matriarch's house in Villas Saugres in north central France. Like I said, we stayed in a room where just outside was the tall chair that Duchamp was often photographed sitting in, she recalls, as well as rubbing shoulders with avant-gardists. Bradshaw benefited from growing up in a city that was full of art and from having parents who were keen to expose their children to it, who were taken to museums, the MoMA. We lived near the Met. There was nobody in those days. There were whole galleries that would be empty, she says, of the childhood excursions with her parents. That was when it was free to enter, she remembers, and when nobody was there to crowd you out. One of our 4 siblings, Bradshaw, grew up on East 88th and First Avenue and recalls watching Frank Lloyd Wright's Ginningham. I guess that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. Being built just a few blocks away. I saw the spaceships growing on Fifth Avenue, she says. Half a century later, in 2009, she and Anatasi both showed at the Guggenheim as part of the group show The Third Mind, American artist Contemplate Asia, 1860 through 1989. Bradshaw exhibited, I don't know what this is right here, but yeah, exhibited whatever, a piece from 1971 that worked as both a spirit level and a timer, depending on whether it's held horizontally or vertically. Composed of two linked glass globes containing acetone, the piece can measure both space and time, a poetic, meditative object. This has baffled many. What was amusing was that it was shown as a level, and of course, it bedeviled. Why are they using all these stupid ass words? Bedeviled sculptures forever to be showing it on a curved rotunda that sloped, she says, referencing the way the work was exhibited, neither horizontal nor vertical. It kind of defies a lot of spectacular ideas. As far as she is aware, the level is an original invention made in collaboration with a lab technician at MIT when she was still a student at the Boston Museum School of Fine Arts / Tufts University. It's akin to much Bradshaw's work, which exploits the elements of change in scientific experimentation, including her series of works that feature cone-shaped sculptures that disintegrated over time beneath slowly dripping water. For example, 2003 Six Continents, or sculpture work that metamorphs when exposed to the elements. Bradshaw's friendship with fellow artist and composer John Cage, whom she had met when she was 27, further cemented her interest in chance processes. We were very close, like family, for 15 years, she says of the pioneering multidisciplinarian. John said to my mother that I was the daughter he had never had. Speaking about the spiritual elements of his work, Bradshaw recalls that Cage, who celebrated the role of the indeterminacy, had wanted to be a minister when he was young. At one point, he thought he would be, she said. There's an evangelical aspect to all of his work because he felt that chance was the only way for us to escape our limited egos. I think the idea of art and the spirit as he talked about it continues. It's a deeper, more profound focus. Over the years, Bradshaw has exhibited with her husband, also a friend of Cage many times, and the couple also served as joint artistic advisors for the Marseille Cunningham Dance Company. Cage and Cunningham were life partners. Marina Abramovic says that two artists should never live together, Bradshaw says, but the advantage Bill and I have is that we're 16 years apart, which I think helps. You're at different stages of career, so you don't have the expectations. Bradshaw and Anatasi both featured in Matthew Taylor's 2020 documentary Marcel Duchamp, Art of the Possible, alongside Ed Ruscha, Michael Gondry, and Jeff Koons, though she explains that her love of the modernist pioneer and focus of the film has faltered over the years. My allegiance shifted to Cage, and the reason was not that I would ever discount Duchamp. He's ever present and will always influence every generation of artists. His focus is plural in many aspects. Still, a replica miniature bicycle wheel modeled on the original remains atop the piano in Bradshaw's home, Bradshaw describes to the idea that, like Picasso, a real artist does everything. People who just do one thing, it seems to me, are not so wide and deep. And indeed, her career has been long and varied, making inventions, creating jewelry memorably out of spent bullets, and even dressing windows for Tiffany and Co. For an artist interested in science and change, she takes umbrage at the notion that every good idea in art has already been done. It's very annoying to me because the I don't know what the fuck this word is. The zitiges of each time and our technology changes. And we're different. And the world is different. So everything is going to be different. How could it be the same? How could every idea be used up? Especially when we're working on going to Mars. How could this be? This opens the possibility. This openness to possibility means her working processes often vary. I don't know how normal people live life, she says. I'm free every day to determine what I do. I'm totally spoiled. Though she is now her husband's caregiver, Bradshaw says life is not so different from when they were first together. Their 4 decades of partnership have been filled with work, travel, and merriment. One Halloween, she offered to do Bill's taxes if he would come trick-or-treat with her, seduced by the idea that any other time of the year, it would be considered taboo to arrive at someone's home in the city unannounced, unless you knew them well. We went to Leo Castelli's and Dorothea Tanning's. We went around town knocking on doors. It was great fun, very liberating, she recalls. Zen thought influences Bradshaw's art as it did Cage's, and she attributes her working mantra to the 17th century Japanese poet and Zen master Hakuin Akaku. He has a description of art making that is 4 words: simplicity, clarity, spontaneity, precision. How Zen, how perfect it seemed to cover everything. I'm stopping at this. Gregory Crudson. That was interesting, but just too many words. Too many big words. I gotta read my dictionary. But that was that. I'm gonna be right back. So I'm a journal. Journal. Be sure to release some thoughts, release some feels, emotions. Set your intentions for today. and simple. I'm gonna read y'all my little entry. Rich and abundant risings. It is. Rich and abundant rising it is. I'm setting the intentions to flow up spirit, to breathe, to be free and expand. Ashe. I'm grateful to be here, home in my vessel, being conscious of my efforts and my purpose. Ashe. And that's all. That is it. That is all. I was going to read this, but maybe another day. I'm really interested in this book, though. It's teaching me some things. Like, art is ever changing, evolving. Of course, we get our inspiration from just nature, from the abundance of nature. That's where all of our inspiration comes from. Everything comes from source. It's limitless source. And it's always changing. It always looks different. It's always interpreted differently. It's always just, I don't know, man. It's this familiarity within everything, but it's different. Everything is the same and everything is different at the same time. Like, you can't have a this or that. It just is. And that's what art is. Like, it's open for one's interpretation. Yes, even with how I read and like process information, like, it's open to my interpretation. So, yeah. I'm gonna hit y'all up when I do, though. I'm gonna edit this video.